Hello and welcome to the big picture. With just about 12 hours to go for the polling to begin in Pakistan for the elections to its National Assembly, all eyes are riveted towards what the beleaguered country is going to throw up. The elections are being dubbed as historic as it's the first time in its history that such a transition will be taking place from one civilian government which has completed its full tenure of 5 years to another. The coalition civilian government lasting a full 5-year term without the army moving in is itself a historic feat. What is in store in Pakistan now? Observers and analysts are equally confused about the outcome as the three major parties ruling Pakistan People's Party, its ally in the last 5 years, Pakistan Muslim League Nawaz Sharif, and Imran Khan's Pakistan Tehrik-e-insaf are locked in a battle. It is said that Imran Khan, who was seen as an also ran, however, in the last few weeks has changed the electoral arithmetic, which is what is making predictions hazardous. Pakistan as a country has numerous problems, what with miserable power situation, fundamentalists indulging in senseless acts of terror, among others. What are the issues which will decide the fate of Pakistan tomorrow? And what may be the possible outcome? And how far India has been a factor in these elections? We will discuss all this today with a panel of experts who understands the country. I have with me TCA Rangachari, a veteran diplomat, Vinod Sharma, political editor, Hindustan Times, who has worked in Pakistan, Sushant Sareen, strategic affairs analyst, who keeps a close eye on Pakistan, Rana Banerjee, former special secretary RAW, and on the phone line from Pakistan is senior journalist Mubasher Bukhari. Welcome to all of you. Mr. Rangachari, I would like to come to you first. This is seen as a historic election, and when about 2-3 months back or 4 months back when this was being discussed, it was seen as a 2-horse race. Now it has become a 3-horse race. Do you agree with that?
Well, first of all, I think let us wish that tomorrow, and let us hope that tomorrow the elections go off peacefully, because there are all kinds of threats which have been held out.
Yes.
And there has been a fair amount of violence against during the campaign.
And yesterday the kidnapping of the former Prime Minister's son.
Exactly. And I think also at the same time we should felicitate, we should celebrate the fact that for the first time you have a civilian government which has completed its normal tenure of 5 years. Insofar as the question that you raised about whether it is going to be a 2-horse race or 3-horse race, you can never really rule out each of the political parties having their own respective bases, that is specifically the PML, Nawaz Sharif, and the People's Party. Yes, Imran Khan's Tehrik-e-insaf has made inroads in the course of the last few weeks. And today, increasingly, particularly in the Punjab, he is being projected as a possible alternative to the PML Nawaz Sharif. But from all that I gather from what I see in the media and from the statements coming from Pakistan, it does look like Nawaz Sharif's party is still the front runner. What kind of a picture we are going to get post-election is still something which is a matter of a guess. All that I would say at this point is that I hope that whatever the complexion of the new house, it is something that will contribute to stability and continuance of the democratic process in Pakistan.
Vinod, stability is a major issue in these elections, but all predictions or whatever I've been reading or analysts have been observing, it looks like a hung parliament. Do you think it is the case? And the same question which I asked Mr. Rangachari, is it a 2-horse race or a 3-horse race?
Well, I think it's a 2-horse race, and in Punjab it seems to be a 2-horse race between Tehrik-e-insaf and the Pakistan Muslim League Nawaz. Actually, the PPP has painted itself into a corner. Its relevance is limited in Punjab today to southern Punjab, which borders Sindh, which is otherwise its mainstay. And in Sindh, the urban areas or PPP appears to be weak, where MQM has its basis. In the countryside, they're holding their own. You see, the highest poll in Pakistan's elections, and they have had sporadic countenance with democracy, was during the 70-71 elections. 63% voters turned out to vote. Unfortunately, that proved to be a hugely divisive election, and it led to the split of Pakistan. And there were many reasons. We don't have to go into history. Many observers in Pakistan believe, and I've been in touch with many on a daily basis, that if the turnout tomorrow is on the higher side, and there's a strong likelihood of that, because, mind you, there are 3 to 4 crore young voters, first-time voters, whom Imran has managed to, attract greatly.
He has charmed them.
And actually, if you were to, compare this election with a wedding party, he is indeed the bridegroom. He has brought back to the Pakistani politics, despite his somewhat conservative approach and his, dalliances with the religious political parties, he's brought that fizz and the excitement which was so closely associated to Benazir Bhutto.
Absolutely.
That is where the strength of Imran Khan lies. And, yesterday's speech that he made from his hospital bed was a very touching speech, And there were a crowd at Islamabad which was bigger than Tahirul Qadri's, that flash in the pan Islamist, it was bigger than that.
Yes.
So I think that we cannot underestimate the influence of Imran Khan on these elections, though his appeal is limited to the Punjab and to the Pakhtunkhwa to some extent.
But let me get Mr. Sushant Sareen in on this. Imran Khan's hold is only in these 2 provinces, but these are the 2 places where majority of the 272 seats which goes to polls exist, isn't it, Sareen? And you think the Imran Khan influence is what we should look for tomorrow?
Well, he is the wild card, and he is a very important wild card. In fact, he's upset all calculations which have been made so far. Now, between Khyber Pakhtunkhwa, FATA and Punjab, that's almost 200 seats out of the 272 directly elected seats.
Right.
And whoever wins this actually wins the crown.
Right.
Now, while it will be a deeply divisive election, I think it'll be kind of neck and neck between these 2 parties in Punjab. Khyber Pakhtunkhwa is likely to be a far more fragmented verdict, because out there you also have Fazlur Rahman's Jamaat Ulema Islam fighting the elections out there, a couple of seats where the Jamaat Islami is quite powerful. So you're going to have a lot more fragmented verdict coming out of Khyber Pakhtunkhwa and FATA, which is just about 47 seats. The real game is going to be in Punjab, and that also, a lot of people are saying that it's only central and north Punjab, but apparently Imran Khan has made very deep inroads also in South Punjab, which is which the People's Party saw as its pocket borough. Vinod also has mentioned about this turnout factor. Turnout will be important, but even if the turnout is not much higher than last time, you will have to see what is the kind of voter who comes out and votes. Now, if the People's Party voter, traditional People's Party voter, is disheartened and feels that his party doesn't have much of a chance and he doesn't want to cast his vote for anybody and doesn't come out and vote, the voting percentages might go down. Then it will depend upon which supporter of which party is far more passionate to come out and vote. And out there, I think even if the voting levels don't go up very high, the kind of passion which Imran Khan's following has shown could actually pull him through.
Okay.
Voting turnout could also be low because of violence. It could be low because women are traditionally in many areas not encouraged to vote, and a variety of other factors, including the fact that this is agricultural season and a lot of people would be engaged in agricultural labor, especially in the rural areas, which might go against the People's Party, which bangs on the rural areas.
Okay.
So there are a lot of ifs and buts in this election.
So
it's only by tomorrow evening we'll get to know what's happening.
So we'll need to keep an eye on the polling percentage. Mr. Banerjee, coming to you. Pakistan People's Party, what has happened to that? Is there a disheartening of their supporters themselves are disheartened? After running a government for 5 years and keeping that government running for 5 years under the extreme stress that the country went through, Still, nobody seems to be talking of PPP as a possible to return to the government possibly.
See, there are many reasons for this. Firstly, the normal impact of anti-incumbency will be there. The PPP has been seen to be ineffective in tackling, the bread and butter issues, the power situation, the prices. They are generally seen to be insensitive and corrupt. They are politicians. But more than that, this is a process which began immediately after, Benazir was assassinated last time. Zardari collected with him new sort of interlopers or carpetbaggers. And this led to the old loyalists, the Jialas, being gradually disillusioned. And it is the Jialas who really carry the rural vote. This time there have been other factors. Zardari as president decided to take discretion as the better part of valor, because he did not go and canvass, or because as a president there were verdicts in the Supreme Court and the Lahore High Court which said that he could not hold the dual post of party president and also president of the country.
Right.
So he, and also the governors which were appointed by him, they decided not to actually go and canvass for the PPP. So the PPP electioneering profile has been very weak. Also they have been threatened by the violence of the Taliban, and they did not go for any mass rallies.
And the father and son, there seem to be some problems with the father and son.
Well, that was rumored for a while. Bilawal is, still a novice in politics, but he has probably been, brought up in the British cultural tradition, may not be agreeing with many of the, street fighting type of techniques and tactics at which, Zardari is very good. And in fact, whatever the numbers game is thrown up in the results, wide manner of permutations may be possible, and where Zardari may come into his elements.
We'll come to the issue of permutations and combinations later. I have Mubasher Bukhari on the phone line from Pakistan. Mubasher, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. Mubasher, when 2008 elections were fought on a very emotional issue, Benazir's assassination, the Pakistan People's Party took advantage of it. Are there any emotional issues in this election? Apparently, from sitting here in Delhi, we don't see any serious emotional issues. So what are the issues which are dominating this election?
First of all, I will like to say that my Indian dear friends have very deep eye on Pakistani politics.
Yes.
And they mentioned each and everything
Yes.
regarding this. As far as emotional things involved in this election are concerned, I don't see any except accident with Imran Khan.
Absolutely.
When he fell down from a poker lift, I saw some emotional scene. I was outside the hospital. I saw people crying. That was the only emotional scene. And you mentioned that in the last election in 2008, PPP bagged maximum numbers of seats and maximum number of votes.
Right.
And for correction of record, in election 2002, despite all outrigging and conspiracies against PPP, People's Party was again the majority party in 2002 election with maximum number of seats and maximum number of votes. So again, some of the analysts in Pakistan believe that after the election result, the ball would be lying in Pakistan People's Party's court, because it would manage to get at least 50 to 60 seats, and Imran and Nawaz Sharif would get 80 to 90 seats. So they would be looking towards Pakistan People's Party to form their government. So Jialas of Pakistan People's Party are not at all hopeless at this stage. Though they are in low spirits because there is no driving force for them. Benazir has gone. Zardari can't, take part in politics. Bilawal Bhutto is outside the country for security reasons. And then you see Tehrik-e-Taliban Pakistan and other militant groups are targeting three left-wing parties, M2M, ANP, and Pakistan People's Party.
Right.
And they are not allowed to run their campaign, and they couldn't find a level playing field for their campaign. Despite that, spirits of some Jialas are quite high. When I say Jiala, it means leadership.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Sushant, you wanted to react to something. What? Mubasher was saying?
I take the point which Mubasher is making that the People's Party might still be in with a chance. But the important thing to note is that, despite having been the largest party in the past so many elections, this time around, what is the game which the People's Party is playing at? It's playing at holding the balance of power, not coming into power itself. It's playing at playing kingmaker, not becoming king. That shows you how far the People's Party has fallen in terms of its electoral prospects.
Absolutely.
You might call it realism on the part of these guys, but at the same time, I think it betrays a level of defeatism which is quite disastrous going into elections.
Okay.
And the other point about Asif Zardari,
Yes.
Even if Asif Zardari had been allowed to campaign, I wonder if it really would have made a difference. He was no Benazir Bhutto who could mobilize the masses, galvanize her supporters. He's been a bit of a divisive figure even within the People's Party.
Yes.
How much impact his campaigning would have made remains an open question.
Okay. On that note, we need to take a short break. Kingmakers, we have been hearing about, we have been hearing that in Indian situation also recently in Karnataka, but we found that kingmakers had no role ultimately. Let's see what will happen in Pakistan. Meanwhile, let's go in for a short break. We'll come back and continue this discussion. Please keep watching. Welcome back. We are discussing the Pakistan elections where polling will take place tomorrow and looking at what kind of outcome we can expect. Vinod, this election, I've been reading somewhere, in many places, that this election is a little different because the old issues, the old way in which the voters would vote, the biradari and the feudal system is breaking down. Do you think it is breaking down? Do you see a new kind of approach towards elections in Pakistan this time?
I think that, may I tell you one thing, the kind of confusion that we have had at one stage recently in our country, that we as analysts have been confusing the political universe and comparing it with the Twitter universe or the cyber universe. They are two hugely different things.
Right.
One big difference between the previous election and this election is, and I must recall that in 1996, when the elections were held that were lost by Benazir Bhutto, a very dear friend of mine who was a Jiala, a committed Bhutto supporter, and I used to be a strong critic of Benazir Bhutto because I always felt that each time she was in power, our bilateral relations went down very badly. So I called him up the moment I landed and he says, "Aap aa gaye?" हाँ, मैं कहा मैं आ गया हूँ आपकी लीडर को हराने के लिए। कहते हैं आप नहीं भी तो आते तो काम हो जाता है। So I think this time the situation is almost similar. You see, the BPP not only lacks credibility, it also today lacks leadership on the ground. You see, Bilawal Bhutto, who has not campaigned actively on account of the threat to his life, and this family is too scared to lose the young man because whose mother was so brutally done in, that it is non-existent. Its campaign is in absentia, and it's a long distance campaign, or it's only through the images of Benazir Bhutto. I think an active campaigning by Bilawal would have made a lot of difference. This is an election without a level play field. Let's understand that.
Absolutely. That's what Mubasher made that point, that there is no level play
you
field.
see, it is level play. There is no level play field in Balochistan, no in Khyber Pakhtunkhwa, no in Sindh. The only level play field is in Punjab. And Punjab decides who is going to rule.
Right.
And there, you see, Nawaz Sharif, even if it is a hung assembly, has already laid adequate ground for a future coalition. When Imran had that fall, he dispatched his younger brother, Shahbaz, to inquire about his health. I was watching an interview that he gave only yesterday to Hamid Mir, and he was asked, and he said, look, there are no permanent, rivalry in politics. And he's already making, he's a very pragmatic person. Nawaz Sharif is the most pragmatic politician, besides being brave, because he had a running battle with 4 army chiefs.
Right.
Also a committed Democrat today.
And no, I don't know whether he's a committed Democrat or not.
After his previous experience.
I view every politician from the standpoint of Indo-Pak relations.
Absolutely.
And I think he's the best bet that we have amongst the present lot
Mr. Banerjee,
amongst
do
the
you,
bunch.
do you agree with Vinod that he is the best bet as far as India-Pakistan relations is concerned?
Yes, certainly he has trade interests, but he's also a somewhat mixed character, and he has links to the orthodoxy also. He's not going to completely be able to separate those links, so he will have certain pressures operating on him. The other aspect is, in the last tenure, he showed a very limited attention span on very many crucial issues. Whether that has changed, if he has become more politically mature and alive to the various nuances that determine bilateral relations. Because already you see he has made certain statements about reopening of the Kargil inquiry and having a look at Hadley's allegations. These statements are not going to go down well with the army. So again, his relationship with the army will be a sensitive one, and he'll have to be very careful, particularly if he doesn't get a strong mandate.
Right. Mubasher,
Yeah.
when it comes to the kind of issues which have come up in these elections, the basic issues which people are facing, is that what is dominating? And also one more question, which we have not read much about India being an issue in this campaign.
Yeah, exactly. India is not at all an issue in this campaign, and the only Imran Khan, as we saw, Imran is speaking for a change, and Nawaz is fighting for unemployment, power shortage, power crisis, and development. So they are again, touching the basic problems of the masses, and for correction of record, Punjab is not a level playing field for Pakistan People's Party. You saw Prime Minister Gilani's son was kidnapped, and previously People's Party's candidate was attacked in Muzaffargarh, and even in Lahore, a person hanging a banner of Pakistan People's Party was shot at by some unknown assailant. So there are attacks on Pakistan People's Party even in Punjab. So Pakistan People's Party is again cornered in the most populated province of Pakistan.
Okay. Okay. Mr. Rangachari,
I
yes.
had a very quick word on this question of India-Pakistan. I think, to be fair to President Zardari, if you see, he made a series of statements which were very, very friendly and wanting to break with the past in terms of improving relations with India. It's a different matter that because of his own position, because of the influence that the army exerts in Pakistan politics, he was not able to carry them through. So in that sense, I think we should look at Pakistan today a little differently, that the leadership of the mainstream parties and even Imran Khan is talking in terms of having good relations with India. Whether they are able to carry it through, of course, would depend upon the kind of numbers that they're able to manage, how strong they are. In that sense, possibly, what Mr. Sharma was just saying, that Nawaz Sharif may be the best bet for India. He might be in a better position than either the PPP or the Tehrik-e-insaf to have a control over the army.
Girish,
Yes.
you see, Nawaz Sharif is a very popular person among the rank and file of the army. It is the army brass that distrusts him because of the relationship, very uneasy relationship he's had with 4 successive army chiefs, And he has said already that he does not expect Mr. Kayani to expect another extension. So I think that here is one person who in private conversation and even to Indian journalists and me included has said that if these people are going to run the country, then what the heck are we doing here? So I think that approach is very important, and army stock in relative terms is the lowest today. Army stock is the lowest on account of 2 things, Abbottabad and also the drones.
Right.
Because drones had their express clearance. Mr. Musharraf was the president and army chief, and ISI chief was Mr. Kayani.
Right.
So the current leadership is not all that confident as it used to be earlier when they used to intervene brazenly in the democratic process.
Okay, Sushant. Sushant, you wanted to come in.
No, just one very small point.
Yes.
Just one very small point, just to take on from where Mr. Rangachari and Vinod left off. You see, one of the reasons why one would like to place his money on Nawaz Sharif is that, the entire pro-establishment and anti-establishment equation in Pakistan has been turned on its head by Nawaz Sharif. He was the establishment's baby, but today he is unabashedly anti-establishment and makes no bones about it. To make the kind of statements he has made on the eve of elections requires a lot of guts. And he's made his position very clear. Mr. Zardari and the People's Party, on the other hand, has a very anti-establishment kind of an aura about it, but has turned out to be the most pro-establishment party, kowtowing to everything which the army said. And while Mr. Zardari might have made all the nice statements about India, the fact remains that he basically followed the line which the army set for him post 26/11.
Okay.
It was very difficult for him to transcend that line. I
Okay.
don't think Nawaz Sharif will fall for that. His
Okay.
government might fall, but he is not going to take dictation from the army.
Mubasher, the permutation.
I
Mubasher,
have a different point of view. I believe that Mr. Nawaz is taking a bold stand against military establishment of Pakistan, but again, the key problem to him are his own men within the party.
Right.
So I have a number of people names who are pro-establishment, and when Nawaz speaks against establishment, they are the persons who cover military establishment and sport establishment within Pakistan Muslim League Nawaz.
Okay, that's it. But just one very small question and quick response from you, Mubasher. The permutations and combinations which which you think will come out of this, if from what we are reading, if there is going to be a hung parliament, then the possibility of Nawaz Sharif and Imran Khan coming together, Vinod was talking about it a little earlier.
There are strong chances for it, and then parties would look for better packages. What I believe is, and the game can be between Pakistan Muslim League Nawaz and People's Party, or People's Party with Imran Khan. You can see any kind of picture out of these elections.
Okay, Mr. Banerjee, last words to you. These permutation combinations, which of them would be more convenient to India and more acceptable?
Well, it's very difficult to say. I mean, the main thing is whether these permutations will be stable. I don't visualize Nawaz-Imran coalition being very stable because the personal antipathies have been very, very sharp. On the other hand, if PP gets about 50 or 60 seats, it could still emerge as a player with Imran, with the MQM. So it's a very, very uncertain picture.
Okay, on that note, we need to have a very uncertain picture. I think 24 hours later, we will have some thing to talk about what kind of a picture will emerge finally from Pakistan. We'll keep a close watch on it. Thanks to all my guests, Sushant, Sareen, Mubasher, Bukhari, Dr. Rana, Banerjee, Vinod, Sharma, and TCA Rangachari. Please keep watching. We'll come back with another issue in the big picture, same time on Monday.